In a world where the cripple hammer reigns supreme, one camera dares to give people every feature they asked for. In-body image stabilization, fully articulating vari-angle screen, better battery life. You don't have to dream anymore. Enter the X-T4.
Hey everybody, Ted here, back with another video, and today I want to try something a little different and talk about the Fujifilm X-T4. X-T3 here, not X-T4. Fujifilm did not grace me with a review unit, maybe next time, but I wanted to talk about what happens after the X-T4. So, two interesting bits of information came out in Fujifilm's press release in their interviews with DP Review alongside the release of the X-T4 last week. The first bit of information is that the X-T3 will continue to live in the lineup alongside the X-T4. Now, Apple has done this for a number of years with their models where they release a new model and they keep the existing model in the lineup for many years at a lower price point. And Fujifilm is going this same route with the X-T3 alongside the X-T4. The interesting thing about this is what happens when the successor to the X-T4 is released. When the X-T5 comes out, does the X-T3 continue to be sold as is, or will Fujifilm eventually release an X-T3 Mark II? The big differentiation between the X-T3 and the X-T4 is the vari-angle screen. I suspect that Fujifilm is keeping the X-T3 around for the simple reason that some people do not like the vari-angle screen in the X-T4 and prefer the flip up, flip down, flip to the left screen that is available in the X-T3. So that will be interesting to see what happens in the future with the X-T3 line continuing in the Fujifilm lineup. The other interesting bit of information was that Fujifilm is working on a successor to the X-H1. Now the X-H2, as we assume it will be called, is not coming this year. It'll be coming sometime next year. And really with the addition of IBIS to the X-T4, you have to ask yourself, why is Fujifilm keeping around the XH line? And the only answer I can come up with is that the larger body of the XH line versus the XT line will afford Fujifilm to do some things in the XH line that they cannot do in the XT line. Now, IBIS was one of those things that they said they needed the larger body for, but with the X-T4, they showed that they were able to miniaturize in-body image stabilization to the point that it could fit in an XT body. I suspect with the X-H2, Fujifilm will take IBIS that was in the X-H1 and make it even better than what is in the X-T4 for the simple fact that they've got more space to work with. And the more space you have with in-body image stabilization, the more you can actually stabilize that sensor. Now, the other differentiator, I think, is that the XH2 line will exist as a more premium offering from Fujifilm, and it will really be geared towards sports and wildlife shooters. Now, the two areas that Fujifilm could improve upon the X-T4 in this regard is, one, the sensor and the buffer. Essentially with the X-T4, you can shoot at 15 frames per second mechanical shutter, and you can get about 68 frames before that buffer runs out. So you're essentially looking at about 4 seconds and 4.5 seconds worth of shooting before your buffer is completely filled. If they could get that to, say, unlimited shooting of raw files and your buffer would never run out in the X-H2, that is a big feature that would be welcomed by sports shooters especially. Now, there's something that Fujifilm might be tipping their hand with what the XH line will be, and that is when they release 2 new lenses later this year. They have 3 lenses on the roadmap for 2020. One of those we know is the 50mm f1.0 lens. But there are 2 lenses that we don't know what they're going to be. Now, if those lenses end up being sports lenses, like say a 200 to 400 millimeter range with an f2.8 constant aperture, or maybe an or a 300 millimeter lens with an f2.8 aperture, a prime lens, you'll know that the X-H2 is really going to be geared towards sport shooting. It's currently the biggest hole in Fujifilm's lens lineup. And if they're going to make the X-H2 a more dedicated sports and wildlife camera, you should start to see lens offerings come out this year that will show that that is the direction they're going into. So let me know what you think. Do you think the X-H2 is something that Fujifilm even needs to make? Should they be delving into the sports and wildlife market? Is it something that you think that Fujifilm could actually really do and succeed at? Let me know down below in the comments. And as always, if you like this video, please click the thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please click the subscribe button and the bell icon to get notifications when they are available. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next one.